Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Who's That Type 1. I'm deeply grateful to see you all here today. Truly, thank you for wanting to learn, to listen, and to stand by the Type 1 diabetes community. My story began on a quiet October evening. I remember showing my family my Halloween costume, full of excitement, when my dad stepped out onto the balcony and frantically started making phone calls. Naturally, I went and asked him what was wrong. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm going to find a way for you to feel okay." Before I could even understand what that meant, we were driving to the hospital. After that, it's all scattered fragments, harsh lights, sterile white walls, the kind of haze that makes it hard to discern dream from reality. That whole day was a bit of a blackout, not exactly the highlight of my childhood. The only thing I can really remember is the confusion and fear, the kind that no 7-year-old should ever have to face. I didn't know it yet, but that day would change my life forever. It was the day I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. When people hear the word diabetes, they often imagine sugar, or lack of it, diets, and someone checking a glucose monitor. But type 1 diabetes is many things: complex, unpredictable, and anything but simple. Type 1 diabetes isn't caused by eating too much sugar, and I can't be healthy for the rest of my life just because I exercise twice a week. It's an autoimmune disease caused by my immune system destroying the insulin-producing cells in my pancreas. Without insulin, my body can't process glucose, the fuel every cell needs to function. It's an incurable condition I'll have for the rest of my life. I also wanted to clarify that type 1 and type 2 diabetes are incredibly different conditions. Diabetes has left me to do what my body couldn't. Every day consists of countless decisions: counting carbs, monitoring my blood sugar levels, and calculating the amount and timing of the insulin I have to take. My blood sugar levels are never stable. I have to be incredibly careful of the highs and lows, which can lead to serious consequences for my health. But type 1 diabetes isn't just some numbers on a screen. Living with it means struggling to focus in class because my blood sugar is low. It's carrying a bottle of juice everywhere, just in case I need it. It's learning that every bite, every step, every minute can change a reading on a screen out of my control, and that every decision I make in that moment is a difference between life and death. Diabetes is often regarded as an invisible condition. I believe that only people who live with it truly understand what that means. I faced numerous challenges in my daily life, many of which are critical for my short-term, and even more so long-term, health. There's so few people I can truly lean on. People who understand those struggles instead of trying to convince me that I'm doing something wrong. One of the things I value most in my life is people's willingness to learn. Many ask me about diabetes, sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of genuine care. That open display of empathy is something I have rarely encountered, and that's exactly what I want to change. I want every person with type 1 diabetes to feel seen, understood, and never alone. Through my journey with diabetes, I've come to understand the phrase, "Every cloud has a silver lining." Diabetes might be a constant challenge, but it's also a part of who I am. It has shaped so many aspects of my personality, shown me empathy, patience, and resilience. Today, I can't remember what it's like to eat without counting carbs or run without a bottle of juice close by. I don't know how to act on impulse, to do something just because I feel like it. At just 7 years old, I lost the spontaneity of being a child. But I gained something else, the understanding that even when your life changes forever, you can still create something meaningful from it. My childhood with diabetes was one of the hardest chapters of my life. Between learning to manage a lifelong condition and the loneliness that came with it, I often felt invisible. I didn't have anyone who truly understood what I was going through. I remember feeling ignored, misunderstood, and confused about how this new condition would change my world. As I grew older, I realized the hardest part wasn't managing the condition itself, despite the extreme difficulty involved. It was making others understand it. For as long as I can remember, people have had their own misconceptions about what it means to live with type 1. They often think I can't eat sugar, that I can't play sports, that I can't be normal. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Diabetes doesn't limit me, it strengthens me. This experience has made me more determined, more patient, more understanding. It's taught me resilience in the face of invisible struggles. I may face more challenges than others, but I can still achieve anything I set my mind to. Diabetes has become one of my greatest sources of inspiration. It's shown me just how much is possible, even in the face of difficulty. People with type 1 diabetes, like Nick Jonas, Olympic snowboarder Shane Busby, tennis player Alexander Zverev, and marathon runner Missy Foy, are proof that type 1 diabetes isn't a barrier, it's a drive. They've shattered boundaries and expectations, and most of all, proved that we are so much more than our condition. In many ways, diabetes became the reason I found my motivation. It pushed me to help others, to advocate for awareness, and to see strength from a perspective I couldn't have gained otherwise. Not the absence of struggle, but the courage to continue. Strength doesn't mean much if it stays silent. Awareness is how we turn our experiences into something meaningful. Awareness of type 1 diabetes matters deeply to me. It ensures people can see the person behind the diagnosis. True understanding begins with curiosity, asking instead of assuming, understanding instead of pitying. Every act, every word, every moment builds it. Awareness doesn't begin with something revolutionary. It begins with small human moments, a simple conversation, a genuine question, offering support to someone who needs it. These moments build empathy, and empathy builds change. The truth is, ignorance can be just as isolating as the condition itself. I often think of ignorance not as a lack of understanding, but the absence of willingness to understand. That understanding is all I'm asking you to offer. That is the bridge we all need. Ignorance isolates, but empathy connects. World Diabetes Day exists exactly for that reason, to ensure diabetes is no longer invisible, to unite everyone around empathy and change. But one day of awareness doesn't speak to the millions of people around the world living with type 1, with more than 20,000 in Greece. I wanted to create something lasting, something capable of real impact. That's why I created Who's That Type 1, with the vision that no one with type 1 diabetes should ever feel invisible, discriminated against, or misunderstood. My goal is to create a community that feels united, where no one has to face diabetes alone. Because at the end of the day, true awareness goes beyond knowing what type 1 is. It's about knowing who we are. The belief that empathy can completely transform someone's life is what tonight is about. Not just awareness, but connection. Living with type 1 diabetes has taught me that strength isn't merely about being strong. It's about embracing vulnerability too. Strength is waking up every day and choosing to keep going, to realize that diabetes doesn't define us. We define it. We endure it. We overcome it. We redefine its struggles, its challenges, and every single part of it. But most importantly, diabetes has taught me about the power of kindness. That when people come together to support one another, no one ever has to feel alone. I hope tonight shows that awareness is hollow without action behind it. That's something we can all build together, step by step, moment by moment, word by word, because every one of us has the power to do it. Together, we can rewrite the story of what it means to live with type 1 diabetes, because ultimately, we're not defined by numbers or by our challenges. We are defined by how we stand up for each other. And that is the most important thing of all. Thank you.